Now, EFF leader Julius Malema has said his party is ready to sign a multi-party pact to prioritize service delivery. Malema was addressing the party's final push rally in Katlehong, Ekurhuleni, ahead of tomorrow's local government elections. Joining us now to unpack the party's approach to service delivery is EFF National Chairperson, Ms. Veronica Mente. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your time this afternoon. Firstly, are you satisfied your party has done everything it needed to do to convince the electorate that you are the party of choice?
Thank you very much, Dudu. Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to the viewers at home, and thank you for having us. Dudu, we're very much satisfied. As you have heard the President during our Tsela Tupa rally, wherein he was thanking and saluting the fighters for their commitment, for their immense love for the people of South Africa, and for everything that they have done. We have done everything within our power and beyond to pull a campaign within a very short space of time. You would understand that the issue of elections was happening and not happening until it was declared that it is indeed happening. And as the EFF and the ground forces, we are always ready. We are not comfortable with the space that we are in. So our voices, we have stretched them as far as we can in terms of agitating and conscientizing society of the current situation and the status quo that has to change, and in terms of what people should be receiving compared to what their spaces of living and their services is concerned.
When you say, ma'am, you are not comfortable in the space you are in, you mean in terms of?
We mean in terms of life of South Africans, in terms of the services that come to South Africans, in terms of the conditions that are unfavorable for the people of South Africa.
Right. Are there any wards in the 9 provinces where it is an obvious for you? Your president marked his vote today in Limpopo, which is his home country. Are there any obvious wins for you at this moment?
Besides the wards that the EFF is already governing in terms of local municipality, where we have EFF ward councillors since 2016 in the spaces in the provinces of Northwest, the province of Eastern Cape, the province of Limpopo, we are very confident with how we have campaigned. We are very confident because the way people received us and the way people have been waiting for the EFF, in actual fact, in many provinces, like in the province of the KZN, you understand that we have grown massively in the KZN during 2019 elections. However, people of KZN were calling leadership every day, asking where they can find the EFF office, where they can join, where they can go to be assisted in terms of service deliveries and the issues that they were facing in general within the province of KZN. Same applies to the province of the Eastern Cape. So in terms of us being received by the people, we are very much comfortable there, and we are confident that our campaign have spoken to the people and the people received us. So we cannot put a number to how many wards. However, we are confident that South Africans are going to do the right thing, and South African, the way they have portrayed their support and how they receive the EFF is going to translate into the ballot paper.
The reality also, ma'am, is that you might have to go into coalitions, right? So as we mentioned, Mr. Malema calling for political parties to put aside their ideological differences. In 2016, when the Economic Freedom Fighters had to go into a coalition with the Democratic Alliance, it didn't work so well because of a difference in ideologies. This time around, should you go into coalitions, what will be different?
President mentioned that we are ready to sign a pact with political parties, not necessarily opposition, but in one common understanding that basic service delivery should go to the people. And you would understand that it's not the first time the EFF is actually saying that. President was simply emphasizing what we've already practiced. You know that in Johannesburg, Tshwane and Nelson Mandela Bay, we were not in coalition with any of the parties. However, we did something that is much similar to a pact, even though it was based on the conditions that we will support you for as long as you are going to open clinics for 24 hours. We'll support you for as long as you are going to bring water to the people of Hammanskraal. We'll support you for as long as you are going to insource the services of the municipality. And on those bases, you have seen the change in Johannesburg, where securities and cleaners were insourced. You've seen the change also in Tshwane, Nelson Mandela Bay. We have seen the change in Johannesburg, where clinics were open 24/7 and people welcomed that kind of an idea, because people get sick throughout. It's not only during the day where the clinic must be open. So in the spaces where EFF has been assisting in terms of governance, we have demonstrated that working together and actually directing the budget of local government is a very simple thing, because it has to talk to what do people require on the ground, what is it that must be done for the people, and together we can deliver that.
Mente, from the outside looking in, it would seem like the EFF's electioneering machine or campaigning machine has been very well oiled. Are you at liberty to share details on the party's funding?
There's nothing different to what everybody else knows. And the nice thing is that finances of the EFF with the banking accounts of the EFF, the banking accounts where we receive money from Parliament, we receive money from legislatures, we receive money from IEC. It's public audited accounts. And those audit findings and the statements are in the public domain. So there is nothing extraordinary with how we get funded. We fund ourselves through the party levy of the public representatives. And what I can share with everyone in South Africa is that the EFF has got very committed ground forces, have got very committed members, people who do not ask for money to deliver a campaign. A campaign of the EFF is relying solely on the commitment and the hard work of every fighter on the ground. So it is easy for us to pull a campaign, because we don't have to put in money for people to be convinced. We don't have to put in money for the fighters to be on the ground, because the fighters understand the cause that we are in. The fighters understand the struggle that we are in. The fighters are in the revolution, and in the revolution, every other one resource the revolution the way they can. Every time we get to the ground, fighters do not complain, our fighters do not ask questions. If they receive t-shirts, they do receive t-shirts. If they don't receive t-shirts, they do understand that a t-shirt does not mean you are winning anything. A t-shirt is not going to speak to anyone, is not going to convince anyone. So on that basis, the EFF is able, and its own machinery is able to roll over and without having to put in any kind of monetary muscle into it, solely dependent on the commitment of the fighters.
Ms. Veronica Mente, thank you very much, ma'am, for your time this afternoon. She is the national chairperson of the Economic Freedom Fighters.